Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 22nd, 2023 at approximately 4:27 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies of life that I actually guide my own life by. I've offered these tools and philosophies to literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, a slight update. I've been telling people that I've aided in excess of 100,000 people in my career. As it turns out, the more accurate number, although still a little shy and certainly not on the money, is 170,000. Yes, that means I've been at this for a while. So when I talk about the success, the people I've helped, and the statistics I'm referring to, they're based on things I personally have borne witness to. Now, before I get into it, because as we all know, well, if you've been here before, you know this is an open topic. If you've got a question, whatever the field, drop it into the chat room. Do put it in all caps. Okay, that's not yelling in this case. That simply gets my attention. Okay, whether it's all caps, partial caps, or at least a wavy hand to catch my attention. This would be really handy. Now, before I go any further into this, we are looking at, let's see. Philip has come in with the gold. Nathan from the Quantum Show is in with the silver. And Joe, you have wandered in with the bronze. Wandered is probably the wrong statement. Yeah, Philip goes, I'm going to get a computer because all I have is my phone right now. What should I get? In all fairness, Philip, I am probably the last person on the planet to talk to about that. Although I'm pretty certain that just about everybody in this room probably knows more about computers than I do. Now, let me see here. I think I forgot to open something here because Nathan is in the house here. Whoop, where are we? Way too many things open. YouTube, there we go. Okay, now this is the link to Nathan's show. And again, I'll tell you, things are really kind of screwy with my time frames. But here we are. This is the link to Nathan's show. Do drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up, and certainly subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. It's by this interactive sharing that we are going to change this world for the better. Now, like I said, I've been working on a lot of different things. You're more than welcome there, Nathan. Sorry I missed the show again last night, but I'll tell you, my sleep schedule is just completely bonkers. I don't even know what I was up to yesterday. But today, for instance, I got to bed, I got to bed about 11 o'clock last night, I think. But counting from midnight to midnight, I slept from midnight to 12:30, was back up until 5, so slept from 5 until 6:30, and then just slept from 3:30 to 4 this afternoon, which means today I am working on, what do we got? 1.5, 2. I'm working on 2.5 hours of sleep since midnight of last night. Okay, now where are we? Friday, October 20. Well, I will tell you, yeah. I will tell you on Friday, October 27th, I won't even be here. Okay, because that is when my friend Sweet Maria is fighting in the MMA. And I'm going down to the restaurant to watch that on the big screen. It's the only time I actually go to watch MMA, period, is if she's actually fighting. But what do I got going on here? Just want to make sure I get things moving. Thanks so much, Nathan. From my standpoint, I've already been in touch with her. I will post as soon as I've got something solid to work with, as far as where you can find it. I do believe she said it was going to be, as a matter of fact, let me double check that before I put my foot in my mouth. Where are we here? Nope, not that. Let us see. Here we are. Yeah, okay. Now the good news is I don't know where, but I do know that it will be carried on YouTube. Okay, so as soon as it gets posted, I will be posting it. Okay, that would be the important factor. Well, at least from my standpoint. So let me see here. It's amazing how many people send those to me. Where are we? I am looking for that. Okay. Oh, that's fantastic there, Philip. Phil's just letting us know that the fluffy orange kitten is so tame now, he just bounces right in the door to come inside. You sure he's not related to Tigger? Because I recall he was orange and he bounced all over the place. I believe the term went something to the effect of bouncy, 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 and fun, 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 fun. Although I will tell you, sometimes that gets a little screwy on the cat's part. What do we got going on here? Okay, haven't missed anything there. Now, I will tell you, I am getting, like, my sleep schedule is completely mucked up. Like I said, today, 2.5 hours. But I am making headway. Yeah, that is quite possible. Maybe they could be cousins, could be distant, I don't know. I know my brother used to collect the stuff from Winnie the Pooh. For me, I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of getting things organized. I have managed to get, let me see. What do I got here? 1, 2, okay. That's 1, 2. That's 2 of the things. I didn't get them transcribed yet, but that's okay. I'm just looking at the stuff that I've got to have dealt with in order to get this school off the ground, because I'll be hanged if I'm going to leave it sit any longer. Now, those are poems. These are all poems that I'm pulling together. Okay. I will be getting into the other stuff shortly. But as you can tell, aside from the poems I'm working on, what's that? I have to check that out because that should be part of Community Futures. And this is all poetry stuff. So that takes care of all the poetry stuff that was there and gets it out of my way. Now, here's the neat part from my standpoint. Like I said, I am working I am very focused. And again, one of you guys actually reminded me of it. Okay. When I started this, I was only having these two little weights, the little amber ones, in here to work with. As you can see, it's a little bigger at this point. Myself, I'm quite pleased with that. But I only just changed that over today. So it'll be a week or two before I actually bring that up again. Oh, here we go. Joe goes, I got a good one, a good open topic. How in the hell can a portal happen in someone's house? with a creature being with a creature. Whoa, try English. With a creature being walking through and a creature or being walking into it. That's actually relatively easy. Okay, the principle is easy. The way portals work is they work on the subquantum realm. Okay, and yes, they can be called into existence. What have we got? Okay, we'll get back to that there, Joe, in just 10 seconds. Oh, I don't know. No, that is a sunburst. Yeah, that is simply a stylized sunburst. I could do that too. And now that portal, when we are dealing with traveling between vibratory rates, and especially great distances, okay, what happens? And I've shown you guys this before, but we never really got into this side of it. If you're trying to go from point A to point B, now most people will tell you the fastest way is a straight line. Okay, from point A straight to point B. Then you got the people that look at the Earth and go, wait a minute, that doesn't work on Earth. If you go in a straight line, you're not going to get where you're going to be. So they tell you you've got to go on a curve. Okay, when we are dealing with portals, you take your point of origin and your point of destination, and just like in the story from long ago called A Wrinkle in Time, you bring them together, step through, and then come to the other side again. Okay, that's your fastest move, because what you're doing is folding space. You're not doing a thing about time. Ow. You're not doing a thing about time itself. Okay, now the funny thing is, when you actually figure out how to do that, then it is essentially what many people would call teleportation or psychoportation. Okay, and it boils down to literally manipulating the physical world around you. Because you got to remember, the only difference between walking from one point to another and utilizing a portal is literally concept. Robert, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Let us see. I have not seen you around in a while there, Robert, but welcome back. Okay. Yeah, and honestly, Philip, most people do. And this is why I say where you're looking at time, you do not manipulate time. Honestly, nobody does. Okay. Yeah, I've been watching your progress. You know, I really have, Robert. Where it comes to the hospital, hopefully, aside from the obvious, you're feeling better. You know, you're going through something that most people can only imagine going through. Okay, and quite frankly, they usually call that a nightmare. I do have if you don't mind my asking, did they ask you about removing it, or did they just go, no, we either remove it or we bury you? It's honestly sort of six one, half of a dozen the other. You know, but the fact that you're up and mobile again and have chosen to share your time with us tickles me to no end. I am really, thankful for that. Yeah, much better now that I'm out. I can relate to that part. You know, this is why when I've gone into the hospital, I'm usually gone really, really fast. Okay. But when we are dealing with, when you're looking at time, you know, there we are. They asked months of trying to get the infection out or chop it. I'm glad they kept you in the loop. Sadly, this is not always the case. But in your case, I'm really glad they did. And quite frankly, much better to lose your foot than to lose everything else. I don't have a problem with the hospital. Food at the hospital, I have a problem with. But where it comes to time, okay, we really have to remember time was set up in a very specific fashion. Okay, where time gets a little screwy is where people are trying to track it. Because everybody had, so many people track time in a different fashion, even on Earth. Like 20 years ago, I looked into it and I discovered 6 different calendars being used on the planet now. Now, with that in mind, we've got a little bit of a hiccup. Okay, but you'll notice, they still run the clocks. Everybody seems to be in relative sync. This is because the world and the world powers went, we've got to do this with time so everybody can operate. Sooner or later, they'll figure out money works the same way. But for the moment, we're looking at a situation where time itself doesn't get modified. You know, I don't even bother trying to track time anymore, in all fairness, Philip. Like the reason I can get on here is because I literally have set the clock and gone, this is where I've got to be. And this is how I organize things. Now, with that in mind, it gets a little screwy on occasion. Like today, for instance, I got done with my gaming and got done that at 3 o'clock. Ended up falling asleep between 3:30 and 4. And well, actually it was about 3:15 and 3:45. Then my ex phoned for me to come and get my son's lunch for tomorrow. And so of course I woke up, went over, grabbed that, and here I am with a staggering amount of sleep today. And again, what am I looking at? I'm working on 2.5 hours, and I may get 3 by the time I get done tonight, but we'll see how that works. You know, but no, time itself, we just have to realize that it is a stable thing that is simply tracked by a number of different people. Honestly, Philip, I think that's what I boil down to 3/4 of the time. Because most of the time, I sleep for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You know, at most 2 hours that I'm up and on the go for a number of hours. I mean, you think about it. I was up at what? Uh, where are we here? Yeah, slept from 5 to 6:30, which is an hour and a half, and then ran for the next 8 hours. Grab another half hour, and away we go. Oh, football. The answer is at this point, yes, but they are looking at canceling it out. It's been in the works for a number of years of terminating the whole idea of daylight savings time. The silly part, in my opinion, has always been that, we have daylight savings time. I was under the impression it was set up to handle the farmers on the prairies. The intriguing part is the farmers on the prairies don't change their clocks at all, from what I gather. Net result, it's like, okay, so you've got this thing set up for the farmers, but they don't change it. Why not? You know, but you get used to it after a while. There we go. No, cows don't wear watches, but here's the thing. Cows have an innate sense of time, as do the Eskimos up north. They not only have a sense of time, they have an innate sense of space. You know, if you look at it, You know, if you take a look at the way the Inuit work, which is what we call the Eskimos, well, what some people call the Eskimos, somebody out there is probably taking offense to it. And well, politely put, I got over it. Okay, my dad used to work up amongst them, and these guys would go out in the middle of a ice field and find each other without anything. Oh, Philip, I didn't say time might be canceled. I said time. I said daylight savings time, meaning nobody has to change their clocks over again if that's the way they go. But they've been talking about doing that for a couple of decades now, so I'm not holding my breath. You know, that's just one of those silly little things that have been going on. But I will tell you, procrastination has gotten to be a fine art. You know, it's neat because my eldest son has flat out told me that he got my ability to procrastinate. I'm not sure that's a good thing to pass on to somebody. You know, but when I look at the different things going on, so many things are being removed. In my case, I've taken it to a whole new level. I decided, and I mentioned this before. I decided, what is this? I decided I was borrowing a line from Iron Man 3 and going through a clean slate protocol. That has been working out like an absolute charm. Okay, got rid of that because I don't need it anymore. All that's out of my way. I gotta take a look at that stuff. Now, again, literally what I've been doing is going, what kind of stuff do I have that I don't require? Okay, and this is why I decided that the school is going to launch. I've already started getting the paperwork in place. Okay, where is it? Is it right there? Cause this, that's the file for for getting the school set up. Okay, now what pray tell? I've got to find out from a couple of people. I just found out. I mean, it was an absolute shock to me. Apparently, you guys down in the States now have a third, you've got a third political party. Okay. You know, it opens all kinds of doors. Okay. Now, I was talking to one of your people. Okay. I was talking to one of your people that is now, because I knew about the Democrats and the Republicans. I also knew that back in the 50s, the platforms that the Democrats were standing on are now being followed by the Republicans and vice versa. So apparently, and check your own facts. I am not a politician, obviously. I don't lie well. Besides, I'm not subtle enough to work with. But apparently, you guys have a third option now by the name of libertarians. I have no idea what their platform is. Of course, in all fairness, I don't know what the platforms of my people are. But I just figured, what the heck, I might as well throw it out there. Let me see. And there we go. Oh, Philip goes the Libertarian Party and the Green Party too. I have no doubt about that there, Philip. You know, the reality is, from my standpoint, I don't follow politics in my country, much less in yours. You know, but it's like I've told people, I don't follow it, and yet I will tell you wholeheartedly, it is imperative you pay attention to what's going on. Joe Cannon goes, the libertarians just want the government to leave them alone. You know, I'm a firm believer that whatever government somebody chooses to put in place, for pity's sakes, make certain the people that are in the government are adhering to the same rules as the people they're governing. Okay, it is absolutely required in a country. There's got to be laws in place for the number of diverse people. There's got to be static laws in place, but they've got to apply to everybody. I think the Communist Party is unpopular in a lot of places, but again, they too have a place. Not my backyard, I agree, but from that standpoint, I look at it this way. The government, I believe wholeheartedly that the government should take everybody into consideration. I also agree wholeheartedly they don't. And I'm talking globally. I'm not talking about one government in particular. I see the same flaw in virtually all of them. Yeah, and I agree with you there wholeheartedly there, Nathan. Sad part is that and I've mentioned this before, when you have a set of laws, if they do not apply to everybody equally, you will develop a subculture. Okay, that subculture, again, if the laws do not apply to everybody in that subculture, you will have a fracture again. Yeah, see, that's just wrong in my eyes. Capitalism works great if it is set up properly. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with the idea of being of focusing on getting ahead, on getting the finer things in life. Myself, it's never been a motivation. But I will tell you that the one thing it has been is a royal pain in the neck. Okay. There is no way that somebody's going to convince me that if you get a DWI, you should be able to buy your way out of it. You still did the thing. Now, likewise, I do not feel that a jail cell is of any functional value for many of the laws that are broken, because what ends up happening is it's kind of like taking a school where a kid is constantly skipping out and going, okay, you're skipping out, so we're going to punish you by suspending you. Very much the case, Nathan. But this is why we have to start working. And it's been being done. I think the problem here is not that people aren't making the effort to change things. The problem is you've got a pocket over here, a pocket over here, pockets all over the place, all working on their own little issue. It's very difficult to get people to stand under one roof and go, this is the thing we're going to target right now. Okay. Not this one little pocket, but I mean, all people have got, and I know that's a pipe dream in a lot of people's eyes. I'm still a firm believer it can be done. Okay. Oh, Joe, I cannot prove it, but I will absolutely back you up on that. Way back in the 70s, I told people that up here in Canada, I told people that if you walked into a government building, not only could they tell you how much money you had in your pocket, but they could tell you how much of each denomination. Now, I was told I was completely nuts, I was paranoid, you name it, until the early 2000s, when on W5 or 60 Minutes, one of those types of shows, the Canadian government came out and explained exactly how they had been doing it since the 1970s. And that's before computers came into mainstream. Well, and that's the sad part, Philip. And again, the whole thing here is overturning a government is a bad idea. It results in anarchy, it results in disaster. However, getting involved in the legal system in one way or another, whether it is speaking up and starting to get people to listen, okay, and getting people to start acting in a mutually beneficial fashion. Now, bear in mind, we are striving to change something here that all of society is teaching against. Okay, but that's the real issue. Yo, I do have one little comment on that one there, Nathan. Nathan goes, the elites fear people like us. We use energies they can't buy or quantify on their scales of worthiness. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. The one thing I will point out, I refuse to call any of them elites. Okay. The fact somebody has more money than I, well, let's face it, they got more money than I. They're not shooting very high and they're not working very hard. Okay. But I do not refer to people as an elite. As wealthy, as financially or fiscally wealthy, absolutely. And should I have been paying more attention to the finances, you can bet your bottom dollar I should have been. But do I see any of them as elites or as better than anybody else? Not at all. Yeah, that's not an insult by any stretch. So I hope you didn't take it that way. To my way of thinking, okay, I take a look at somebody like, um, for instance, Colonel Sanders. Now, I've always looked up to him for one reason. Okay, at 65, Colonel Sanders, from my understanding, he opened his first chicken stand at 65. 4 months after opening it, because his staff wouldn't do things exactly the way he said, he fired the load of them and closed the doors. Now I don't know what the first chicken stand was called. Okay, I do know the one that came to be was Kentucky Fried Chicken, now known as KFC. But here's my complaint about it. While he was alive, the chicken was top notch, in my opinion. The moment he passed away, so did their concentration on doing things the right way. Okay, so I mean, doing it the way that was working. And I see so many companies that'll come along and they'll go, "Oh, that company is doing really good. Let's buy that company," and then change everything about it and wonder why it fails. Okay. It's like the people that are moving from another country. They leave their country because they're not happy about one thing, one way or another. When they get over to the new country, they complain and force the issue until they get it changed back to the way the country was from where they came from. To me, this does not make sense. Okay. This is why. Yes, the newsletter is a little haphazard. I'm making mistakes with it. I've given myself permission to make mistakes, to set redundancies, but I've also decided that I am going to try and make sure I smooth out the wrinkles and get it done the way I see as necessary. Again, I'm building a company that will be a global school. It will be an active recovery center. Okay, I'm starting with the consulting side and with the books, the newsletter, the YouTube channel. You know, these things are all part of what I'm building. I'm not building it because somebody said I can't. I'm building it because I decided I could. I'm just looking at people who tell me, "Oh, you can't do it that way," and I'm like, "Sure I can. I'm still going to follow the laws, but I'm not letting anybody talk me out of it because it's something I desire to see happen, and I do feel it'll be beneficial for the majority of people. Yeah, Eric. Eric, how you doing? Long time no see. Glad you could join us. Eric's going, we have that problem with the Yankees here in North Carolina. They move here and then try and turn it into New York, where they just fled. Um, I'm not even. Let me ask you, football. Just a real question. I take it, a rather serious one. I'm guessing that Chick-fil-A is a fried chicken stand of sorts, or a fried chicken restaurant. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, and certainly not in Kelowna, I've never heard of it before, so I would have to be inclined to say that it's not. But maybe it is in the bigger cities. I just don't know. And Phil goes, if wealth meant earnings from contributing to the economy or society overall, there would be no trust fund babies. You know, and this is very much the case. I've talked again to people that have a lot of money. Okay, I remember when I was 18, I was working for the Kelowna Golf and Country Club, which at the time was listed as the second best country club in the country. Now, it was a golf club, obviously. With my attitude, my outlook on life, okay, I was the one that showed them how to set up the fine dining there, which is weird when you think about it. But I turned around and I was in the men's lounge at the time. And this guy looks at me and bear in mind, I was a dishwasher. And the guy calls me over, he says, go get me a drink. I looked at him, I went, no. He goes, well, I'm so and so, and I want you to get me a drink. I looked at him, I went, no. He said, I own this and this and this and this, and I want a drink. He said, bar's over there. Now bear in mind, this was the first job I ever had outside of the house, outside my family businesses. So my boss comes over and goes, Keith, what seems to be the problem? I says, what seems to be the problem is this young lad figures, and bear in mind he was a senior. I said, this young lad seems to think I'm going to go get him a drink. My boss didn't catch on, and he goes, well, why don't you get him a drink? I said, no problem, Klaus. I'll go get him a drink. I said, I'll go back to the dish pit. I'll grab a glass of water out of the dishwasher, and I'll bring him a drink. Okay. And my boss, he just clammed right up. And I said, look, I looked at the guy and I said, look, the reality is I'm a dishwasher. I'm not a waiter. Your waitress is on her way over. I'm not a bartender. And I don't go behind the bar, period. So you're out of luck. You want a drink, it's over there. And I walked off on him. I didn't get fired. Don't ask me why. Terry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Um, Terry's asking, do you think people would be racist towards alien human hybrids if they revealed themselves? Absolutely. In most cases, yes. You're looking at one of the few that I can unequivocally say is not prejudiced towards any of them. But there is absolutely no shadow of a doubt in my mind or my heart, that were alien human hybrids to reveal themselves, or or ancient race human hybrids. If they were to reveal themselves, they would absolutely be off. Take a look at the way people treat each other. You know, take a look at the people that the way people treat each other just based on a little bit of a difference in skin color. Do you really think that's going to be any better if the people are, if the people are literally scaly, you know, scaly, great big long teeth, the whole 9 yards? Do you really think people would, on the whole, reach out and say, hey, nice chap, really happy to meet you? It's not likely to happen. Eric, in your case, I really do feel that probably is the case. In your case, you undoubtedly would be. But like I said, there are very few people. I've met people that said, look, I would really like to meet certain types of people. And then the second they meet them, they're completely panicked. Yeah. What did you say there, Philip? Oh, yeah. Philip goes, it's drive-through food-like products made of breaded chicken parts. I'm not a fan. You keep it. Yeah. See, for me, it's this. I don't actually go to fast food restaurants anymore because they're no longer fast and the quality is no longer what I call food. Okay. I am still a firm believer that fresh food is better, but I go to restaurants because I don't like cooking. I've spent way too much. So effective this week, okay, effective this week, I won't be going out to the restaurants as much. Okay, but I found a way around the cooking thing. My son's now cooking, and he's going to be cooking 4 or 5 nights a week and just popping it in the fridge so that all we'll have to do is make it. That solves my problem. Yeah. See, the important factor here is where you live is not really the relevant question in my eyes. Okay. Wherever you live. Yeah. In all fairness, football, they literally have like chicken wings is a big thing. But they do have steak, they do have pasta, they do have soups and salads. Yeah, see, the neat part there, Eric, I don't actually fast. Well, I fast. When I sleep, I don't eat. But I have drastically changed the type of food I'm eating. Okay, I paid a lot more attention. You know, I paid a whole lot more attention to what I'm eating in the way of the health side of things. Okay, and the side effect of that has been after 2 years of diligently paying attention to what I've been eating, I'm down 50 pounds. Okay, I'm down 50 pounds and 4 inches. Okay, and the nice part from my end, I was actually talking to my MMA friend, right? Told her what I'm working on. She gave me a couple more points on how to make certain that my health still continues to grow. You know, now needless to say, I'm not built. Okay, although I am quite happy with the changes that are now taking place. You'll do it, Eric, but I will tell you, I know you can do it because I've done it. Okay, literally, I look at it this way. If you are dropping a pound to a pound and a half a week, which means about 4 to 6 pounds a month, okay, you'll drop it at such a rate that it won't affect your health or your energy levels in a real adverse effect. Okay, over time it'll do wonders. Well, Eric, I agree with you. The funny part there, um, is I was in shape for the SOR party this year. Okay. And I'm talking physically. I had a great shape. I looked like Buddha, except I had hair. You know, Now I'm getting down to a point where I'm happy. I do not recall the last time I was in a 34-inch waist. You know, I really don't recall when that was. But if you think about it right now, just paying attention to what you're eating, what and when. I did find this. Okay, turning over to more protein was definitely beneficial. Here's a neat little trick for you, though, Eric. And I found this out from a chap that's 25 years older than I am and in way better shape. You want your stomach to clear itself out. Take a can of whole berry cranberry sauce and you eat a quarter of that a day. He said in 3 or 4 days, you'll find your system is running a lot more smoothly. Now, he told me this, and I looked at him and I went, yeah, canned food, that's going to work. But nothing else I had been doing had been working. So I gave it a shot. For me, it worked. Okay. And all of a sudden, I started dropping the weight. It was fantastic. Okay. But you will find as the weight comes off, your energy level goes up, which has proven to be an interesting setup. Okay. Yes, I sleep 2 or 3 times a day, but I'm averaging less than 5 hours between midnight and midnight. I'm averaging about 5 hours over that period. And I'm finding the more energy I have, the less time I'm sleeping. Don't know if that's a good thing yet. Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day's has been going well. Now, please tell me football. I mean, I agree. Napping seems to be a good thing. Please tell me you don't do that while you're driving, because that would not be a good thing. Where are we here? I gotta stop that from moving. Philip's going, I'm on a horseless cattle ranch. Um, that's terrible there, Philip. Imagine spending your entire life surrounded by soccer fields. This is why I like where I'm living right now. I am not an outdoors person by any functional means. Cowie, it is open topic tonight. Whatever topic, whatever question you have, whatever field, absolutely pop it into the chat room. We will do our best to get to it. D. Henderson, how are you doing? Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Just for your edification, because I don't think I've seen you in here before. Maybe you've been in and I've just missed you. But in this chat room, if you've got a question, whatever topic, even if it is not the topic we're discussing, pop it into the chat room. Okay, put it in all caps so I can find the thing, or partial caps, or at least put a wavy hand in there so I can see it. And I will do my best to answer. Okay, but all caps is not yelling in this room. All caps is simply a way for me to see it. See, I was lucky football a decade before COVID hit. I was already staying home. I'd come up with reasons why I didn't desire to leave the house. And then COVID came along and they said, stay home, stay away from people, drink warm liquids. I went, bonus. I don't want to go out of the house. I no longer have to make an excuse. And I've got a 30 cup urn at home. I no longer have that 30 cup urn. Well, thank you so much, D. I try and keep an eye on things, but my memory about the day is a shambles at best. You know, See, I came to now, and I look at COVID in a very simple fashion. I don't go around people to start with. So I'm pretty safe on that end. You know, and yeah, working from home, I've been doing that for a long time. It was funny. My boss, and I don't leave my bedroom much, but my boss a decade before COVID hit goes, Keith, do you mind if we move you home and get you to work from home? I looked at him and I says, you're asking me if I want to stay at home and you're still going to pay me. He goes, yeah. I said, sign me up. And then I just worked from home until the company closed. Now I'm looking at opening up a school. I am definitely reclusive, but this is going to be where my school gets built to start. What do we got here? Eric goes, there's another pandemic in the works. I'm hearing rumblings from other lab people. Oh, absolutely. I will tell you that right now. It's already started to get out. Okay. The trick here, from what seems to be the trick anyway, is keep people living in fear. They're easier to control. Problem is, if you get people working too much in fear, they will get, well, I just about came out all of them really bad. I just about said, you keep people living in too much fear and they will become revolting. And, I don't think that's necessarily the way it should have been put. I agree with you there wholeheartedly, football. Philip goes, do you even wonder if you chose your life without having all of the necessary facts? I know for an absolute certainty. I cannot prove this. Okay. But I know for an absolute certainty that we chose when you come back here, when you're born, before you get born, okay, you set things up. The contract everybody talks about is a contract with yourself. You set up which parents you're going to be born to based on the qualities that they have available and the contacts they are set to bring you into. Okay, these are the things you're setting up. But when it's the choices you make and the actions you take that will determine how you get the wisdom you're coming from. You know, the thing is this. Let's say, for instance, you came in to gain the wisdom around cancer. So you got born into a family that cancer was prevalent in. Now, how you handle that, the choices you make, the education you get, will determine whether you gain the wisdom around living with cancer by developing it yourself or by working with people and helping support people that are dealing with it. World Bigfoot, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And we are sitting here. This is the link to the world's live stream. And I'm going to there it is right there. Give him a listen. Okay, he's coming on 8 p.m. Central tonight, which means he comes on in about an hour. When you get a chance, do give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up, and then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Yeah. Where are we here? Whoop. Oh, there you go. Oh, world's going at the top of the hour on my channel behind the scenes of the LaFleur massacre account with guest Jim Bear King from the Bigfoot Outlaws. That's excellent, world. That ought to be a really good show. You usually have really solid guests on. Okay. The unfortunate part from my standpoint is I cannot guarantee when my system's going to tank. You know, So this is why I end up missing it a lot. I figure the best thing I can do is turn around and go, okay, I can point people there. I know I'm not going to send somebody if I haven't checked it out and gone, yeah, I like what I'm seeing. I'm not about to say it's a great channel. Okay. And this is why I say absolutely drop in. Eric Scott, there is a mathematical infinity between each second that passes. Ultimately we can put it there. Okay. For what we have, and every single entity in existence has free will. Okay, the mechanics of the way life runs, that is intricately planned out. But throw sentience into the equation, and we now have chaos theory at its finest. Because every single entity in existence has free will. Okay, they all have freedom of choice. What you don't have is freedom of consequence. Well, that's ultimately what I end up doing there, world, is I'll go back in and watch them afterwards. I pop into the damn, but thanks for the reminder. Okay, and that goes for everybody else. You know, if you miss a live show, most of the shows are left on site, and you can watch them after the fact. You know, I am absolutely tickled pink with the way my stream works, because I only run the 2 hours. And then, as soon as I close it down, I got this little pop-up that shows up and says, oh, you've had 24, 26 hours of viewing time during the time you've been on the air. Okay, which quite often when I do the calculation, works out to only half of that time is from the people I see in the chat room. Okay, the other half comes from people that are from either outside the chat room or watching it offline, as it were. Okay, I understand exactly what you're asking there, Callie. Okay, number one, the infinite time was built. It only runs one direction. Simply put, you do not go back in time ever. You can, and yes, I know there's people that will say, oh, but they're testing and they're proving it. I have yet to see proof of it. Society, the world is still in existence, but the infinite is simply time was laid out, it runs forward constantly, but it runs forward with every individual entity. Okay, which means you can't go back in time. Okay, whatever direction you're moving forward. You may be moving forward facing backwards, which means you're walking backwards. Oddly enough, okay, if I stand up, okay, I love the way one guy put it. Where are we here? Tilt that. I love the way one guy put it. He goes, if you want to follow me, this is what I look like from behind. And the reality is, whether you're walking forwards or you're walking backwards, you're still moving in a forward direction. You're just facing a different way. The infinite boils down to you're continually moving forward. You're not going backwards. Okay, you can walk backwards and still go forward, by the way. Philip, I'm going to have to ask you just because I'm nosy. You says your life expectancy is only 36 because you're on autism? Yeah, I actually thought you were a little older than that. What are we here? Oh, Philip, I've been getting drained by prejudices for years. But here's the easiest way. Yeah, we're gonna pop a bubble for you there, Cowie. And maybe I'm quite willing to accept this may be a question of terminology, but there is no doubt that various different entities live at a different vibratory rate. And if you're moving faster than the other person, you'll become invisible. Point in fact, I hold my hand here, and you can see the hand. If I move it slowly, you can track it easily. But if I move it really quick, you can't follow. I mean, you probably can. You'll see the echo. You move something fast enough, you can't see it move one step at a time. That's vibratory rate. Okay. Dimension, as in the way we understand third dimension. Something from the fourth dimension cannot exist in third dimension and vice versa. So what you are likely looking at, okay, what you're likely looking at, in my opinion, is that you're dealing with entities that are vibrating so fast you cannot see them, but they're still in the third dimension. Okay, and there's no way I'm going to be able to, in functionally short order, explain how that works. Okay, but I will tell you, everything that I've ever run into in this lifetime is in the third dimension. Now, we are going to be dealing with dimensions themselves in a lot more detail. Where are we here? Dimensions. I'm sure I've got it listed somewhere. Let me just take a look here. Get that out of my way. Do that again, I'm gonna hurt myself. There we go. Okay. We are going to be discussing, just for a heads up, on the 3rd of November, we are going to focus the show on this dimension, on the different dimensions and the way that works. Eric, the answer to your question is no. Okay, your higher self still live in the third dimension. Okay, the thing your higher self has is a much broader interpretive capacity, and so many, and so many times they see things way beyond what human can will handle. Okay, for instance, they're not restricted by by the physical configuration of your brain. Okay, so your higher selves, what you consider your higher self, is still in the third dimension. Your soul is still in the third dimension. Yeah, Philip goes, remember the 3rd of November. I think there was another poem that came out like that. I gotta ask Philip, what, pray tell, is bonfire night? But no, the nice part about when I take a look at the way this world is, so I hate to be the one to really show how dense I am, but that didn't help a whole lot, Eric. I mean, I appreciate it. I've heard the name before. Okay. But a lot of these holidays or celebrations and what have you, when I said I was reclusive as a kid, I wasn't kidding. I was often, well, as it turns out, I ostracized myself from the majority of society. I didn't understand why until about a year ago. Finally figured it out. And it's funny, when I wrote this, and no, this is not in print. Okay, this is literally a channeled autobiography. Okay, and it has not gone to print. Well, obviously it went to print, sort of. Eventually it might, but for the time being, not yet. Oh, gee, it seems to be there's been a lot of people who tried that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong there, Eric, but he tried blowing it up. He tried blowing up the White House, not the one up here in Ottawa. Yeah, I never did study history. I mean, this is why I like a lot of the information that I get that people come up with here is absolutely phenomenal. You know, I get to bring myself up to stuff, and I've got no problem telling people in that day. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you so much, Philip. As I said, politics not my strong suit. That's why when I was talking to one of the United States, um, one of the United States individuals that's running for president, okay, I told him flat out. I said, "Look, nothing against you, but I'm not voting for you." Fortunately, he picked up on it and went, "Yeah, well, you're in Canada, so that might be a problem." Oh, well, first of all, there's only three. But Joe, the three karmic laws: be true to yourself first, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and energy out, energy in. Okay, if you stay following those three karmic laws, okay, you will have your life running reasonably smoothly. It won't guarantee everything runs tickety-boo, but it does help. Okay, now here's one that's going to blow you guys away, especially if you follow the Bible, if you believe in the way the Bible is laid out. Okay, the Ten Commandments that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai were not originally 10. The original tablet, and there's no way I can prove this, but I can show you how I came to the answer. Okay, or more to the point, I can explain it. Okay, when he brought them down, there were only 3 laws to start with. Okay, and that is, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, when he brought the tablets down, he held them close to his chest. If you look in chapter 1 or chapter 2 of Exodus, you'll find he held the tablets close to his chest. He never even got them to his brother Aaron, and he shattered them on the ground. Okay, so, I mean, from that standpoint, now I do not expect you to believe that, and that's okay. And of course, the issue of how do I know the 3 were there? That's a whole longer story. Okay, what I do know is that when you look at those 3 laws, compare the 3 karmic laws I just talked about, that I just listed off, to any law you follow, whether it is a societal law, a family law, a guideline from a 12-step program, a religious law, and I mean any religion, any spiritual path. Take a look at it. Okay, you take a look at it, and what ends up happening is you'll find out that all of those laws fit inside the 3 I just listed. Okay, what am I looking at here? Oh, what have we got here? Oh, thank you so much for that, Eric. Eric has popped in the link to go and look up Guy Fawkes Day. For those of you that are interested in it, it's right there. Now, Cowie, energy out, energy in. The way that works, and I just want to see if I set something up here before I quite answer that. Where are we? Open consortium. Oh, I don't have those. Could have sworn I had written that down again. Okay, well, since I haven't written that down again. Oh, there we are. I did write it down. Okay, and again, karmic law, I'm going to spend the primary part of that, the majority of the 4th of November on karmic law. But I'm going to go through this anyway. When we talk about energy out, energy in, if you desire people to treat and to be honest with you, to be truthful when they talk to you, okay, make absolutely certain when you're talking to anybody, you're absolutely honest about what you're doing, about what you're thinking. Do not try and get politically correct. It doesn't work well. Okay, but by being honest with people, it will encourage them to be honest with you. It does not guarantee that it's going to work. Okay, it just stacks the deck in your favor. Guaranteed, if you're nice to somebody, they're less likely to thump on you, even metaphorically, than if you're mean to them. Okay, this has just been proven throughout time. And we have here, Eric goes, like the Gospel of Thomas, that more or less tells us we don't need an organized church or intercessors. So obviously that one got ejected from the Bible. Well, yeah, clearly. Sadly, many of the books that were in the Bible that told you that you have all of these abilities, they left bits and pieces there. Okay. But many of the books that actually told you you've got the ability to do it, okay, were pulled because they didn't work in favor of what the church wanted. Now, there is a very big difference between church and God. A very big difference. You know, now the funny part there with all of that there, Eric, is I remember those years, not from the standpoint of reading up on them and researching them. I remember living in those times. You know, for me, like I got told so many times that I was the spawn of the devil or the devil incarnate. Okay, that I just took it for granted that, hey, bonus. It's like I tell people, you know, before I was 10, I was clinically dead 4 times, and at least five since then with a possible six. Okay. And like I tell people, God doesn't want me and Satan's afraid I'll take over. Either that or I got trapped in promotion. Yeah. That's what I get about the Middle Ages. Oh, it was a great time. You know, everybody was getting along. Number one, no, they weren't. And number two, the reek was intense, especially on hot days. You know, oh, there we go. Apparently, the vault is falling apart. Yeah, we should talk about that sometime, Eric, because I know of another person that was on Atlantis. I was there yes, there was a tidal wave that hit. The question I got for you is when it hit, were you actually in the capital city of Atlantis at that time, as far as you're aware? You know, I mean, in my case, I was up in the tower. And I'll tell you, the only reason I lived through that was because a half dozen of my really close friends hit the wall before I did, which meant I got a padded, albeit gooey, landing point. You know, but yeah, Atlantis was a wonderful thing. The thing that people don't realize is that Atlantis did, most people don't realize, yes, the tidal wave came, but the tidal wave wasn't what sank Atlantis. Atlantis never sunk in the first place. Okay, now some of the outer cities either collapsed in rubble or got drowned. Absolutely, because I don't remember where all of them were. Although I am a firm believer that if you go into the bottom of the Not the Gulf of Mexico. Well, I think it might have been in the Gulf of Mexico that it had a city in there. But of course, that got wiped out when the meteor hit. That was fun. Not. There we go. Eric goes, I was down at the docks. I looked to my left because of all the boats were lying in the mud. Then I got hit by the wave and the rubble obliterated me. Yeah, it would. Yeah, I was lucky, in a manner of speaking. I do feel for you, by the way. You know, yeah. Derek, how you doing? Yeah, that is kind of a trippy coincidence, isn't it? You know, the neat part about it is I was I remember looking out the window down at the ground below with the number of people that were there, with the crowds that were on the docks. It was just absolutely, and it was absolute nightmare. Curiosity, Eric, do you remember what else was going on the docks when that happened? Yeah, talk about going sideways. But what the heck? This is why we call it open. What do we got? Vault of Nightmares. There are so many things that I remember about what went down. Like, I mean, I remember the Black Plague, and people said, it was a horrendous time. It really was. For me, I made a killing, pardon the pun, but I made a killing because I was a mortician. Not only was I a mortician, but I also turned out to be immune to the Black Death. Sadly, my wife and two kids weren't. You know, But a lot of the past, like my past lives, I let other people identify who I was. Okay. And some people, like I've had a lot of people identify me as the same person from the same time frame, doing various different things. And it got to be a little chaotic on occasion. You know, Now what I'm doing is I'm really going out of my way to make sure I get all of the paperwork, all of my memories, and what have you down. Oh, all the time. Okay. Fortunately, there were a handful of us that were, I was well known in the community to start with, right? Because I was a mortician way before the Black Death hit, you know. But yes, I did get called a witch. I got told that, some people called me a witch. Some people said I'd been blessed by God. Some people asked me why I was protected, and they'd go, "Oh, you were protected." I'm like, "Really?" That's why I just buried my wife, right? Because I was being protected, and my two kids are laying there beside her. Yeah, that would kind of hold your attention. I'm just looking at what Eric wrote. You know, all I remember is noticing the boats on the floor of the bay. I looked to my left and saw the towering wave above me. Then wham! More or less exploded when the rubble and the water hit me. Yeah, you know, the reality of it is, and they did this on Mythbusters, I think it was. Honestly, I really do. I've forgotten more about witchcraft than most people in today's world actually pay attention to. No, I am not a practicing witch this lifetime. But no, way back, I think it was on Mythbusters. And what they did was they took a pig carcass and they dropped it. I forget from how high, but they dropped it from a helicopter, landed on solid ground, and landed another one from the same height onto onto water. And the only difference they found, the only difference was the skin didn't break. You'd still break every bone in your body. Okay. Well, that's kind of like a wall of water. slamming you into you against the wall. All of a sudden, you're just toast. What have we got here? I've forgotten a lot of crafts, but I literally back during the witch hunts. Okay, like during the Black Death, I used to play in that. That was kind of funny. And, I get involved in some really twisted ideas, but you know, back during the Black Death, I was accused of being a witch. I did end up after the Black Death. I came back as an actual witch. Tried the burning at the stake thing. That didn't work out all that well. I'm telling you, these guys have no sense of ha-ha. So I came back again as a warlock during the witchcraft and during the witch hunts. I also spent time as an inquisitor. So yeah, I've spent some pretty horrific times. This is why this lifetime I'm very much a pacifist. Okay, you wouldn't know it by the books I write, but I am a pacifist. I remember the first time I ever worked with a Ouija board. Okay, and yes, in answer to that funny little question, I haven't built it yet, but I have this drawn out. No, I know you can't see it. That's as much as you're going to get. This is a pattern from centuries back, as far as the Ouija board goes. No, I do not fear them. Matter of fact, my father's biggest complaint about that was I had no fear of the metaphysical world at all. Well, no, that's very true, Philip. They didn't. And in all fairness, when I joined the government as a warlock, I was an active witch working for the government to find other witches. Okay, and I made absolutely certain that every good witch, if you will, that I found was kept alive and kept safe. That was right under the government's nose. Oh heavens, when during the Black Death, Joe, during the Black Death, I was living in this one town, and we got wind that the Black Death had hit the town about 150 miles up the coast, and that was it. We had 4 morticians in the town at the time, so needless to say, we were barely living, hand to mouth. We were starving a lot of the time, but the moment we heard that the Black Death had hit, all 4 of us went into overtime trying to build coffins. Okay. And we started stockpiling coffins and digging fields of holes, fields of graves. Right. We put everybody to work that we could get to start prepping for it. Now, you'll notice a similarity in today's world. People have talked about all these sites with all these coffins and what look like oversized coffins around. Same idea. Okay. We knew that the death was coming. So we built and we built and we built. Then the Black Plague hit. The Black Death hit. And we couldn't keep up with it. Now, one of the other morticians we were definitely in deep competition. So it wasn't we didn't like each other, but you really didn't associate with each other until the Black Death hit. When it hit, we were all busy. You just couldn't. It wasn't a competition to see, oh, I need to get that body so I can get food on the table. It was, okay, I've got 15 bodies here and I don't have enough room to move them all. Somebody get in here and give me a hand. So me and this other chap, and his name was Fenian, He still hangs around today. You've heard me talk about him in the past. But we go, we walk down the road together. The old idea, bring out your dead, bring out your dead. This was a real event. Okay. We got a little bit twisted with it on occasion, and we actually took to going, scrap it, tell your dead to get their backsides out here. Now, I am paraphrasing. But Benny and I became very close friends. He only had a girlfriend that passed away. I had a wife and 2 kids. But we ended up spending a lot of time taking our meals together because we didn't have anybody around us. Our staff kept dying on us. Philip goes, have you seen the evangelical Ouija boards they call God boards? Honestly, I really haven't seen them. But then you got to remember, I haven't even set foot in a church since 1977. Okay. 1977 was the last time I walked into a church. Even getting married, I didn't do it in a church. Didn't even do it with a priest, in all fairness. But what I did find out, Philip, was the Catholic Church tells you tarot is a sin against God. So explain to me this: why is it one of the best tarot readers I ever met was trained in the Vatican? He was taught. He himself had his hands on the Dead Sea Scrolls. Oh my lord. Phelps going the Holy Spirit board by Holy Spirit Games. Christian religious talking board for seance. They're on Amazon. That's wild, world. My brother used to live for watching Monty Python. I got a kick out of it. I didn't live on it, but I certainly enjoyed it. She probably was, Eric. Many of the people that actually started reaching beyond, well, quite frankly, if you didn't agree, or more to the point, you didn't vocally agree to what the church was standing for and what they believed, 9 times out of 10 you were cooked. Okay. When I worked for the when I worked for the when I worked for the church as a witch hunter, I was a practicing witch. Okay. I became very wealthy off the backs of the accusers, because what I would do, my job was go out, check on the claim that this person was a witch. I'd go out and go, okay, what are you up to? The purported witch, was simply a midwife, a veterinarian, an herbalist, and they were keeping it quiet and just trying to get along, I'd look at it and go, nope, you're not, and that's not a witch. I'd go back to the church and go, she's not a witch, or he's not a witch. And I'd turn around and go, but the guy and the person that just accused them, there's your real witch. Now, of course, at that point, they take the guy that had done the accusing, and we try him as a witch. And it was really kind of funny. We'll try and drown you. If you drown, oops, we goofed. We'll bury you in the churchyard. If you didn't drown, oh, you're a witch. Therefore, we're going to burn you at the stake. In my case, and of course, once the person was burned as a witch, nobody wanted to buy the property, right? So, but the church still wanted to, and the government, more to the point, still wanted the money from the properties. So they'd sell them in a song. And I knew which ones were there, so I'd just pick up every one I could get. And then I move what I call the good witches. I move the good witches over onto my properties, and they'd never be bothered again. Yeah, and that one I agree with. Eric's going, that is why Copernicus didn't put forth the proof he had of the heliocentric solar system. He saw what they did to Galileo. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that has been buried. Okay. I mean, it's funny. My best friend, when we first met, we discovered while I was an inquisitor, he was the guy that designed the Iron Maiden. Oh, world, have a great one. And again, guys, just as a parting gift here, as it were, this is the Link to World show. Okay. Absolutely drop by if you get the chance. Give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. Where are we here? Philip's just going, there are writings from a great Roman Catholic saint from Spain during the Spanish Inquisition that scholars suspected were mocking the boys in the church by her over-the-top praise of the church. Well, that's just it. What we learned was tell the church is doing a really good job and carry on, do what you will. In my case, the sad part was that particular lifetime, I was a sociopathic. I was a sociopathic psychopath and a sadist, which meant I got very good at torturing people and thoroughly enjoyed myself. Oh, I cannot read that. Oh, there you are. Derek's just going, I just realized I'm almost 10 inches taller than you. Yeah, you are. You know, and, I don't have a problem with it. That just means I'm going to come up to the bottom of your chin at best. And I'm not getting I'm not getting any taller. The neat part about it, from my standpoint, every lifetime, I found a way to take a look at the way the laws of the land were and went, okay, how can we modify that and make this happen? Net result, whether or not I get government support on it, I'm building a school. Okay. You're taller than I am, Callie. I'm somewhere between 5'7" and 8. I am building this school. I am going to. Somebody mentioned, and I forget where it was, but somebody mentioned the issue that we need a Hogwarts in the area. And therefore, you that being said, I am going to build. Well, yeah. Yeshua, if I recall correctly, was only 5'5" or 5'6". He was not a tall man. By the way, he was also not Caucasian. Well, the first time, Cowie, when I went in as a witch, I got burned at the stake. Not a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun at all. The second time, okay, the second time when I went back and went to work for the government, I died of old age. Okay, and intriguingly enough, I died of old age amidst a number of friends of mine that were everybody thought they were just peasants that I had put up. every one of them was a witch living on my land. Okay. So I ended up dying amongst friends. The same when I was a warlock, as in a witch working for the government, a male witch working for the government. You know, so I mean, the nice part about it when I'm looking at the conversation and weight here, the nice part about it for me is I used to be 246 pounds. I'm now somewhere down around 190. 2 years, I'm down 50 pounds. Okay, about 6 months, and I'm curling about 10 pounds more than I was. And I'm just going to keep pushing the limits on both ends. You know, but Cowie, let's start with what I didn't know, what I did wrong. Okay, I desired to lose the weight, so I listened to the ideas. Okay, and I went, okay, here's the medication they say will help you drop the weight. And I went, okay, let's give it a shot. So I bought it, and I bought enough for me to last a little while. That was great. Tried it. 3 days after I started taking it, I had a massive heart attack. So I threw the medication out and went to the old simple mathematical rule. Okay, put less calories into your body than what you burn, and you will drop weight. That is all I did. Moved a little more, ate a little less, ate a little bit healthier, and all of a sudden, 2 years later, I'm under 100. I'm around the 190-pound mark. Next Sunday, I will check myself again and see how far I've dropped it. Um, where are we here? Oh, well, bishops rode donkeys, but you got to remember, and no offense to any bishop or clergy out there, but people are following what they're being taught. Okay. Where are we here? Now I gotta ask Philip, who are you asking if they were assigned a doctor? That is absolutely correct there, Cowie. And quite seriously, when I talk about the three karmic laws, they work like an absolute charm. Um, just reading what's said here, that's not my strong suit. Well, yeah, I hit 246, and when I looked at 246, I went, no way am I going to hit 250. So I stopped it right there and started the downhill slide. Okay, and rest assured, I plateaued for a while around between 210 and 220, and then all of a sudden I managed to drop it down. So it does come in fits and spurts. But yeah, again, Cowie, you're absolutely right. Energy in, energy out. Well, more to the point, energy out, energy in. What you put out, that's what you're drawing back. Okay. Energy in, energy out really translates into what other people do to you, do to them. Do not follow that law. It doesn't work well. Well, that would do it there, Eric. Why does that not surprise me? Doxy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, question. Yeah, Derek's going, question, Keith. Are demons or jinn worse to humanity? That depends on the individual, and I will tell you this. We got to clarify one little detail. Okay, and it really boils down to the spelling. Demons are what the church invented. Okay, daemon are the race. But it depends on the individual as to which one's worse. Okay. Now I believe Doxy, I may be remembering wrong, but Doxy, are you not trying to get maybe it's somebody else, get a healing center up and running, like a natural garden up around your area? I believe it was you, but my memory has never been something to write nice things about. Yeah, I used to not be able to see my abs there, Philip. From my standpoint, I'd look down and it looked like I had a basketball. I remember I was in the bar one day, right? Absolutely, Eric. You know, Eric's going, if you show them respect, they tend to leave you alone or with a minimum of harassment. Usually that's very much the case, although I will tell you, some daemon are just naturally annoying. But no, the reason I asked Doxy is I was wondering how that was coming along. Okay, because I do wish you all the best for it. We as a civilization, require more of those kinds of centers. And clearly, governments and big business are not taking care of that. Number one, the jinn don't hate us. Number two, they definitely feel that humans are arrogant. But, in my opinion, they don't exactly have a lot of room to talk. It's kind of like the Sarkon going, oh, you guys are so full of yourself. It just rings kind of hollow. At least in my eyes. And in all fairness, Doxy, I agree with you wholeheartedly. With the way that the church has painted demons, many humans portray those really well and exhibit many of those kinds of traits. But again, even with the demons the church has built, okay, even with them, if you know how to talk to them, if you know how to deal with them, they're not as big of a problem. Yeah, very much, very much the pot calling the kettle black. I remember one chap I was dealing with. He was literally trying to kill a friend of mine, and I'm sitting there talking to him, and all of a sudden he bursts out with this: "I've seen you in hell." I stopped cold. I looked at him and I said, "Wait a minute. You know hell won't hold me, and yet you're still trying to tick me off. Is this the kind of stupidity that got you killed in the first place?" The neat part is if, and again, we're looking at a neat little problem here. I don't know the entire story behind Solomon, and anytime people pull information out of the Bible as far as chapter and verse, I'm hooked. I remember the life, I remember the stories. Okay, I don't remember all the details. Yeah, I won't try. I won't. Well, um, yeah, I have no idea how you would trust a bully either. I've never dealt well with them. Neat part of Satan, okay, is there's two massive complications. I have no doubt that when you look at the write up on it, I've never read the write up on it. I do know how what the backbone behind Satan was, but I have no proof for it. A lot of what I talk about, I've got memories. Somebody else gets to go and look for the proof. Okay. And this is why, I remember being on Spaced Out Radio one day, speaking of which, where is it? Right about here. This is the link to Spaced Out Radio. And yes, where are we? We are on so not this Friday, but the following Friday, I'll be back on Spaced Out, unless something goes a little sour. And that would have to be pretty severe since I've been there for over 8 years now. Yeah. See, I was baptized Roman Catholic, which, by the way, just a kind of funny little newsflash. You can't get baptized as a baby because a baptism has to be done when you're an adult. You can get dedicated as a baby, but not baptized. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Eric. And I am looking into, I am looking at possibly figuring out. I've been talking to people, and if I can figure out how to do it or get somebody else to show me how, because YouTube, I can't bring anybody in. I finally figured out, like, I can now work with Skype, but let's face it, that doesn't work the same way. But if I can ever figure out how to bring a guest on, okay, I'm still going to follow certain patterns, but the reality is, I used to thoroughly enjoy that. We don't really get the chance to do it on Spaced Out now, but maybe we can talk Nathan into setting one up, because some of those conversations we had were just bizarre. I know we had that we were. I was on the panel with Nathan a little while ago, about a month back or so, and we came off the panel. We were all dang near in stitches. Okay, where are we here? Yeah, the thing is, I was baptized Roman Catholic, brought up broadband Protestant, became agnostic, and turned around and became a minister, working through the Universal Life Church in Southern California. Okay, so the thing is, the Universal Life Church isn't recognized in Canada, but I've gone the whole gamut. Okay, and yes, I've made that wonderful trip to hell. It does exist. Okay, lots of fire, lots of brimstone. I'm telling you, the hot tubs are way too deep, but the deep tissue massages, they are to die for. Yeah, I've been looking at that. I keep looking at the paperwork on it, or the different odds and ends. And unfortunately with tech and I figured out what part of my problem is with tech. And you'll love this one. Part of my problem with tech is the same problem I had with remembering people's names. Okay. Years ago, I would tell myself consistently, I have a great memory for names, but it's only that long. And therefore, names are going one ear and out the other, just like that. I've been doing the same thing with tech. Now, where it came to names, I started telling myself, I remember names, and my memory for them my recall of them is getting better. Net result, I remember names of people I haven't seen in weeks or months. Okay, I can picture them clearly in my head now. And I'm thinking, and if somebody wants to correct me if the theory is off kilter, I'm pretty certain that if I consistently tell myself I understand tech and tech will do what I ask, I'm pretty certain it'll start working right. Where are we here? Doxy goes, I've been in the white room. They showed me the meaning of life. That'll be 42. Then I couldn't remember after. Then there was an elephant there at the end. Well, if it's a consolation, Philip, at least 1 in 12, at least 1 in 12 churches don't do what they claim they're doing with the teachings of Christ. You know, yeah, as you can tell, Eric, I'm not well read, but I have read some of the important books. One of the things I will be looking at, like when I open this school up, and I'm slating it for opening it in January, one way or the other. Where are we here? That's just it. That's right there is the whole kicker to it, Eric. My brother, my brother, the one I mentioned, had an IQ tested in excess of 180. He did research on the construction of the Bible. The earliest books of the Bible were written 60 years after Yeshua died. Okay, most were, as you said, 200 to 300 years later, and by then they were just butchered. Absolutely, Doxy. Just to be clear, you know, do I believe in God? Absolutely. Okay, what people consider God, okay, is only the tip of the iceberg. I actually had a conversation with him, and I'll use the term him for only one reason. I hate going him, her, it, them, they, just doesn't matter. Okay, I use the term God because, well, I'm lazy. It's one syllable, 3 letters. Okay, but every single one of us is connected. When I had the conversation with him, and you'll love this part. Right now, I'm tying off. I'm tying off. I'm tying off the Return to Paradise, which is the 12th book in the Yldrbacian series, but in the Yldrbacian Chronicles. But when you get into book 1, I actually cover that whole 9 yards. Funny thing is, Eric, one day I'll get around to it, but that whole issue of Judas was not only was he vilified, but the whole story was screwballed. It's kind of like I like the way it's put, but the reality of it is, from my standpoint, I get a kick out of it. So many people look at God and go, either he's watching out for us. Newsflash: God gang, what you call God did create man. I don't have a problem with that. Did create all the heavens above you, no problem. But the bottom line, gave you free choice, free will, not freedom from consequence. So it is up to humans to turn around and go, okay, we dug this crater, time to clean up the mess. Okay, it's not going to be somebody coming down and going, oh, we'll take this person and put him up out of the way. We'll take this person, put him up out of the way. Not going to happen. Okay. Yeah, many people call it like God's source. There are a lot of different names. If you've actually got a copy of the Races of the Worlds, you'll find in it. Okay, you'll find in Races of the Worlds many different names for God. Okay, but it is absolutely up to us. It is not the elites that are creating the problem. The elites, the so-called elites, and I call them so-called elites, much like I call people so-called First Nations. Now, Maybe I'm too literal. Probably am. Okay. But when I look at it, number one, people are called elites because somebody else sees them as better than them. Okay. He's got more money, therefore he's an elite. I got news for you. I don't care how much money somebody's got. It doesn't make any difference to me at all. Well, number one, Philip, Yeshua wasn't actually omniscient. Okay. No, the funny part there was it wasn't. You got to remember, Yeshua did not control people. He guided people. And essentially all he did was come in and say, "Hey guys, treat each other nicely. Treat others as you desire them to treat you." Okay, that's essentially all he said. He never picked he never picked the he never said one church was his church. Matter of fact, he said a lot of things, and that wasn't one of them. Okay, what are we here? Doxy, that was a mistake I made. So I'm just going to caution you on that. Money itself is not the evil. What people do with money or what people see money as is where things get corrupted. Okay. I used to avoid money. I had no use for it, no respect for it, and could have cared less. Rest assured that's a problem. Now what I'm looking at is I've built a corporate superstructure to build the healing center into a corporation-sized mogul where 80% of the net profit will end up back in the public's hands. Money doesn't do a thing for you sitting in your pocket. If you leave it in the bank, you can bet your bottom dollar the banks are making money off of your money. They're not leaving it sit in the bank for you. Okay, the whole thing with money is this. Money is easy. A $10 bill is easier to drag around than a cow. Okay, and even easier than a mule. But when you start looking at money as a side effect, not as a goal, people will be in a lot better shape. Unfortunately, we are taught greed is such a staggering thing. See, neat part is that well, I don't know if you guys realize this, but when we look at that whole issue with Yeshua, okay, when you read the part where he went into the church and turned it over, okay, when you read about him going in and turning the tables over, they don't tell you the whole story because he was in there. He was actually there with Judas and John when it happened. Okay. Now they did tell a part of the story that was right. Yes, Eric, scourging the money changers. The story that you're told is correct. Problem is it's incomplete. Okay. Number one, and I will have to make time for this at some point, but it will upset some people. But it's a whole different take because we're down to the last couple of minutes here. So I'm going to table the whole issue around him. I keep saying I'm not going to tangle with the whole church thing. Okay, on this channel. Looks like it's going to go that way anyway. But the fact of the matter is, I look at the conversations going on in this chat room, and that's where I decide where I'm going with things. Yeah, if I had like I am in the process of reading the Bible. What is it now? Sigurd and Gudrun that's edited by Eric Tolkien or Christopher Tolkien. And I've started reading the Nature Encyclopedia from cover to cover. That said, we are actually at the 2-hour mark here. Thank you so much for that, Cowie. You know, But we have been here the 2 hours, and as you can tell, my throat is starting to cook. But thank you so much, guys, for sharing your time with me today. I really do appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow, assuming I don't die. Tomorrow, we are going to take a look at the configuration of the consortium, and we're going to show you how it actually compares to the layout of the UN. There is a great deal of similarity. Until then, do take care of yourselves, guys, and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.